Let's talk about carnivore or animal-based eating on a tight budget. This is a subject that's near and dear to my heart because this is how I live every day. I am rich in love, I'm rich in health, and I'm rich in joy, but I'm not rich in finances. And by the end of this video, on the second part, when I share a little bit about what a typical day is like for me, maybe you'll feel more connected and understand that I'm just a regular person, budgeting, stretching the dollars just as much as everyone else. So, first, let's talk about animal based eating on a budget. For me, I eat 2 meals a day and I try not to spend more than $5 to $10 per meal. And at 2 meals a day, that budgets out to around $70 to $140 a week for me for food. And of course, I'm married, so there's another factor in there also. So that would double our budget for the both of us. I post a lot of pictures online of the grocery markdown hauls that I find at my local Kroger to show that if you hit the store at the right time, when the meat managers mark things down, you'll be able to find cuts of meat, ground beef, all kinds of different meat that has been marked down but definitely not expired. And I typically try to buy it all and keep out what I can cook for 3 to 4 days, and then I freeze the rest of it. And if it's something that I've bought in bulk, I'll take it home and repackage it into smaller quantities and then freeze it and get it out as needed. So that helps our budget a lot. So for ground beef, I try not to spend more than $4 a pound. And if I combine that with a pound of ground beef for a meal with a half a dozen eggs that I buy from a local farmer, those eggs, that half a dozen, ends up to be about $1. So that meal, one meal for that day, would be somewhere around $5 for me or for my husband. Another meal that I eat frequently is pot roast that I'll put in the crock pot. And I can typically find that either on sale or with a digital coupon or marked down in the markdown bin for somewhere around $4 per pound for pot roast. And I cook it in the slow cooker and it becomes tender and fall apart, and I can eat off of that for several days depending on how many pounds that I've cooked. And recently I posted a short video on one of my suppers that was a pound of pot roast and a pound of cod that I put in the oven. The cost for that meal was, of course, $4 for the pound of pot roast that I ate out of the 6 pounds that I cooked. And the wild caught cod that I purchased fresh from the meat manager at my local Kroger, he charges me $6 per pound. So that particular meal that I showed a video of, that meal was $10 total. So I'm still within my goal of what I'm spending every day to make it work for our budget. My suggestion to everyone always is to make friends with the meat manager at your local store. A lot of times, if you make friends with them and they know that you are meat based and that you consume quite a bit of meat every day, sometimes they will offer to order in a case of something in for you and charge you less money per pound because they don't have to repackage it and put it under cellophane and put a price tag on it. That's how I get my wild caught cod from my local Kroger. They order a case in for me, and what normally gets portioned out and put into the case for individual people to purchase at $8 a pound, he charges me, because I'm buying the whole case, he charges me only $6 a pound. and I take the whole case home and repackage it into several pound portions and keep in the freezer and pull it out as I need it. So it's really great to make friends or to make acquaintances with a meat manager to see what they can do to help you, or to go in frequently to that local store and see if there is a designated area where things have been marked down. And you can usually find a lot of different cuts, and also ground beef and whatever else that your store sells. It could be ground lamb, it could be, whatever you're hungry for. If you don't have the spare time to do that, to frequently go to a store, I would suggest buying in bulk if you can, and going to a place like Costco or Sam's Club, where buying meat in bulk is going to be lower price per pound because you're buying it in quantity. And then you can repackage it at home and freeze it and use it as needed. The other suggestion that I have is that if you don't have the large amount of money to buy in bulk, there are stores out there that have lower priced meats available all the time, and they're just marketed that way. So, for example, if you have an Aldi's close to you or a Save-A-Lot close to you, you don't have to go in there specifically looking for sales or markdowns. Their meat is primarily priced lower to begin with. So that is another way that you can keep your meat based on budget. Another way to do this is to find a local farmer or a local farmer's market where you can meet someone there who can help you navigate buying meat and eggs locally for a cheaper price. So those are all tricks and tips that I have used over the years to stay on budget, to stay within what I have available to spend. Now let's talk about what my typical day is like and why. Why do I need to budget like this? Typical day for me. I live, trying to get my notes to stay there. There they are. I'm sharing this video right now on the second floor of our old farmhouse. It was made in the year 1900, and we do not have central air. We have no central air conditioning, and we also don't have central heat. In the winter, we have a wood-burning stove in our living room downstairs on the first floor, and the rest of the house gets heated by whatever filters around that. So our second floor does not have a forced heat source. So how do we stay warm in the winter? Body heat and blankets. So that is part of my day, part of my year. And in the summer, like I said, we don't have central air. We don't have cable TV. My cell phone is a track phone that I pay $100 per year to have service, and that is all I have. It hooks up to Wi-Fi when I have free Wi-Fi available, but I don't have access to use features of it when I'm anywhere away from Wi-Fi. My laptop that I'm recording this video on, it's secondhand as a gift from my mom. There's no money that went into purchasing equipment or a laptop. My car. I drive a 15-year-old PT Cruiser that I spent several years saving for so that I could buy it with cash, and I paid $5,000 for it. And it needs to stay running and stay good for as long as I can possibly manage that until I'm able to accumulate in our savings account enough money to purchase another used car. A glimpse into our finances. Let's just say that the last time I was hospitalized, we qualified for full hospital financial assistance to help us with that bill. So you can gather from that where we are financially. I pack my husband's breakfast and lunch and make him a thermos of coffee every day so that there is not money going out for any of those things. I cook 7 days a week. And the only time we go out to eat is if we have been given a gift card for a holiday or birthday or Christmas. That's the only time that we do that. I haven't bought clothing in a year. And when I do, it's the clearance racks at TJ Maxx and Kohl's that I go after. So as you can see, I'm just a regular person trying to figure out how to have the best health with the money that I have available to me. I'm just a real person. I'm just a regular person that has a tight budget, that is trying my hardest to prioritize our health and buy the best meat that I have that I can afford. And that, of course, is going to involve the rest of what goes on in my life by not spending money on things that are a want. I try to only spend money on things that are a need. This is kind of left over from early on in my marriage. My husband wanted me to be able to stay home and homeschool our children. And so we learned early on what to separate of what was a need and what was a want. And I have lived that way my entire life. I also grew up with a single mom working her hardest to furnish us with the necessities to live. So I hope something that I've said resonates. I hope that there is something that you can take away from this that will give you ideas on how to navigate your nutrition in order to make this successful long term as a way of life. Love you all.